Hi there, my name is Mark, and today we are talking Apple Classroom. So, we're going to be talking about how teachers can manage their digital classrooms. They are already managing the behavior, the entire learning experience. They're managing parents, they're managing administrators. So, we definitely don't want to burden them with having to become IT administrators. And that's sort of why I absolutely love Apple Classroom, because it enables teachers to manage their devices using a limited number of features. And that's why I refer to this as my classroom remote control, because just like a physical remote control, there's only so many features you can include. And here I have 7 features. And let's just take a peek at where these will exist in the Classroom app, which, by the way, looks the same on Mac OS and iPad OS. So if we take a look at that top navigation bar, there's only a few features available. Now, I realize some of you are looking at this interface and going, it still looks intimidating. And that's exactly how I felt the first time I saw it. But it just takes a little bit of time. And we're going to take this step by step so that you get to see the features that are available, and you'll be able to decide which ones will be most useful for your classroom management strategy. Now, before we talk about features and actions we can take on devices, we're going to need to talk about scope. And scope is which devices are we going to perform those actions on. And there are 3 of them available to us in Classroom. The first is the default one and the global one, which is your class. So for example, if I wanted to lock the screens of all the devices in my classroom, physical classroom that is, they would be scoped to the class. Now, in the next video, I'm going to show you how to create groups. And that's the next type of scope you're going to have access to. So for example, you might have a group working on an assignment and you want to navigate them all to the same website. So you would scope that action, which is navigating them to the website, to that specific group. Now there's one last scope that you'll have available to you, and that is the individual device. So the device tied to an individual student. So for example, again, if you want to lock the device of an individual student, you'll scope it to the individual. All right, let's take a look at the actions available to us. Now the first is my favorite, which is to be able to lock screens, and this is available across all 3 scopes, meaning that I can lock the screens for all the devices in my classroom. I can lock the devices for a specific group, and lastly, I can lock the device of a specific student. Now we also have the ability to turn the sound off, and this also is available across all 3 scopes, but just be aware here that if the student toggles the volume rocker, it will re-enable the sound and you'll have to resort to another classroom management strategy there. But it is a great way, for example, if all students go into playgrounds and they go through the tutorial and the sound starts on all of them, it's just a really nice way to regain control quickly. Next, we have the ability to open and lock apps. This is great for getting your lesson started on a specific task very easily. So for example, you want all your students working in Keynote, you can open up that app for them. And again, it works across all 3 scopes if necessary. This allows you to avoid those situations where you have hands up, where you have students not being able to find a specific app. I also like the feature of being able to lock students into an app like Playgrounds, where I don't want them to be able to reference other people's code to do some specific task, for example. Now, we also have the ability to navigate students to specific content like websites and PDFs and even Apple Books. Again, this can be scoped across all 3, and we can even lock students into one of these specific pieces of content. Now this next one is a little bit controversial. It works across all 3 scopes again, and it allows the teacher to view the screen. And that means I can view simultaneously the screens of all the students in my class. I can view the screens of the students within a specific group, and it can also view the screen of an individual student. Now, your school or your district might not want this feature enabled, and that's okay. Your IT admin can disable this feature in your mobile device management system. Now, the last feature I'm going to talk about here is the ability to reset the password. Now, this one can only be scoped to the individual student. And this is a great feature where the teacher can reset the password and avoiding having to send that student out to have IT do it for them. Now, there is one more button, and that is the end the lesson button. Now, it's not just to turn the lesson off. In fact, this is really great because the teacher gets an overview of all the apps that were used, which students use those apps, and for how long, using a timeline. Also, for each student, we can see which apps they used for how long along a timeline. And the best part of all is that it's not saved, so privacy is built in. So let's go ahead and add a few more features to our remote before we end this video. I think one of them that I'm not going to demo is the Airplay feature. This one can only be scoped to an individual. So what this allows the teacher to do is take a student's screen and Airplay it to maybe a main panel within the classroom. If you're using Apple Schoolwork, you'll have the ability to take in assignments and documents. We are going to very shortly see how to create groups within Classroom. And then the last feature is going to be the last video. And this is where we're going to use the agenda to plan our digital lessons. So you don't need to remember whether you are going to have to lock the students into a specific app because it'll already be done for you in advance. You can also plan the timing of the tasks within your lesson, which I think is very useful. Again, this is an optional feature that you might not use, but it's available. So there we have it. We've got a really good introduction to Apple Classroom, and now we're almost ready for those demos in the next video. My name is Mark. Thank you for watching.